Today I'm sitting down with shovel241, an up-and-coming Minecraft creator who has been raising the bar in building content. We share a lot of thoughts about being a Minecraft creator, what it's like to work 10 to 12 hours a day on YouTube, and so much more. And this is technically another episode of my podcast Flowspace, so if you would like to be on the podcast, you can sign up for a time with the top link in the description. Let's get right into it.
I view that as my origin story, essentially. I was never going to be a content creator. I wasn't. It was just it was like a pipe dream. It was like I liked playing Minecraft, but it's not really anything that I thought I could ever make money from or support myself or my family through that. I moved across the country after graduating college and everything, and I changed a few things up with my life. I was just I was an arborist. I was a tree climber, essentially. What happened a few months in is I tore my ACL, and I couldn't work. And I'm not sure if you've ever know anything about that surgery, but you can't walk for a while.
Right.
And I couldn't do athletic activities for 6 months. And climbing up a tree with a chainsaw is a pretty athletic activity. So I don't really do that anymore. And so I was on disability for a while after I had my surgery and everything. I didn't really know what to do with my time. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just play Minecraft. I've been doing that in my spare time anyways. But it's but what if I, tried to
turn
it into something,
Right.
And so that's how I've kind of been approaching it. And since a long time ago, I've wanted to own my own business. I didn't really know exactly what it was going to be, but I knew that I wanted to work for myself and not have to go into an office and answer to anyone other than myself, because I think there's a lot of waste when someone other than you's calling the shots, because it's going to be the best way to operate normally.
Having someone else run the business.
When someone else is dictating what you're doing, it's not always what's best for you, just because they don't have enough insight into what your day-to-day life is, and they have to balance a lot of different things. So I was I want to be the captain of my own ship, and maybe this is the way to do that. So when I got hurt, I was okay, I'm never gonna really have this shot again, so I'm gonna see if I can turn it into something. And then I just started with building, because that was something that was new to me, something that was very engaging and artistically fulfilling.
Let me ask you this. Would you say that you are at a place where you feel like the content is very much aligned with your desires, your value proposition, or do you feel like you're still trying to get to the point where you're this is truly me? This is me on a screen.
I think that everything I put out is who I am in that moment. I think that who I am and who I want to be presented, it's not static. It's going to continuously change and evolve with every video. Every video I grow and I change. My last video was exactly what I wanted it to be. It was exactly who I was then. And in this next video, it's going to be who I am in that moment.
Yeah, I asked that because, and I'll give you the context. When I started this channel, I had a couple of videos before it, but the first success that I saw was I made a few mod review videos. And it was because I was trying to build out this mod pack and I wanted to have a vanilla plus experience. But I knew when I was making those videos that was not going to be me. That was not going to be the channel. I was not going to become a mod review channel. And then I transitioned into doing more talking videos, and I guess also the survival cinematic videos. But even with the survival videos, I was is that really me? I'm not really trying to be a gaming creator. So I also knew that wasn't me. And so then I transitioned pretty much fully into talking videos. And I've been riding that wave for a while, but now I'm still getting that itch of I got to do something new, And I feel if you were to say there's 4 or 5 stages to my content evolution, talking with creators and talking with community members and viewers and just other people, that's close to the final stage of that's truly where I want to be. Sort of Joe Rogan, I guess you could say, where all he does all day is just talk to interesting people. And you learn by talking with other people who have different perspectives than you. That's where I want to get to, but I feel like I'm still like trying to get there, but I can see it in the distance. It's just like I'm not quite there, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think that it's always good to evolve and grow. And like, I think that whether we're recording or not, I always am trying to like learn from other creators, but also like to teach them if like they're wanting to learn.
Would you say that you are content with where you're at? Are you still like kind of like me, kind of restless?
I think that being content is kind of the downfall of a creator.
I agree.
I don't ever want to be content with my content. I want to continuously grow, and if I don't, like I was saying, it just like it becomes boring if I'm doing the same thing over and over again. And I think that's what happens when you become content. I don't ever really want to be 100% happy with my content. I think that there's always a way to elevate. I wanted to ask you because like you've been doing this for 7 months now, and like, are you considering that? It seems like that's something that you are considering.
It is for sure. Yeah, I've had a couple people ask me that by now, and my answer is always that I'm getting pretty close to being able to make that jump. I think though there still remains that mental switch of like being comfortable with taking a risk that maybe it wouldn't last, you know? And I obviously don't really like to entertain that idea, but you do have to be somewhat realistic. And so I'm like, I could go full time, but I also have to be really secure in that a job, you're guaranteed your paycheck every week or 2 weeks or whatever. But YouTube, it's not so simple. And while I could be replacing my income soon, I still might, you know, be a little bit uncomfortable with the idea that I could lose some of that. And then it's like, well, I still have rent to pay. So I have to be comfortable with that. And ideally I would like to be making considerably more than my job pays, so that it's like after a certain point, it doesn't make that much sense to keep my job because I'm just making so much more money with YouTube. Like,
right.
Ali Abdaal has talked about that, where when he was a doctor, he was making like maybe $40,000-$50,000 a year. And then at the same time, once his channel started taking off, he was making like $200,000 from YouTube. So he was making like 4 times what his 9-to-5 was. So it just didn't make sense to still put 40 hours a week into that job. But I'm not really there yet because, one, my job also pays about $50,000 a year, but it's extremely easy. It's remote. It doesn't take much time at all. So I have time to work on YouTube videos. So I'm still considering my options. I don't know about you, but I have yet to look into any sort of brand deal opportunities. And that's obviously like a very consistent and reliable way to make money. And I feel like I'm kind of leaving that on the table still. But, you know, I've got Patreon, I've got YouTube ad revenue. Soon I'll have Spotify ad revenue. So I would say I'm getting close, but I'm still like, I'm not quite, like, I can't really live on like $3,000 a month from YouTube. You know, it's not
right.
It's just not like consistent enough. But everyone's got different financial goals, and for some people, if they're still living at home, going full time on YouTube, shoot, you could live on $1,000 a month if your parents were helping you out. But if you're like a full-fledged adult, and like me, I've got a girlfriend now, so I've got to like consider her. I'm still very much considering it, but I would love to do it. 100% love to do it full time.
One thing that I will tell you is like, and it is something that you already know, but if you go full time, it's hard. You're right. You're not guaranteed a paycheck. And for me, that stress helps because it motivates me to work harder and come up with more creative ideas. It's not for everyone because, like, I mean, even though I come out with a video only one like every month or two, every single day I am working on a video for like minimum 10 hours. Like, I don't take weekends. It's pretty much just content consistently because, like, I want to be in a place in a few years where I don't regret the decision and I don't have any wasted time. That's my biggest fear, is just like I put all this time in, and then it's not worth it, you know? It's just like a wasted venture. Because I've had those before, and it's just not a feeling that I want to have again, especially about this. Something that like I'm putting my heart and soul into.
Do you think that feeling comes from a financial motivation, or maybe it's from you took this job out of necessity and so you kind of have to like prove it to yourself that it was worth it?
Both, and then a bunch of other reasons. Maybe it's just me being cocky, but like I try to think that I can think my way out of a lot of problems, and this is like one of the ones that you really have to think on. I don't want to fail, so I'm not going to grind it out for years if I have to like accomplish that vision, and then look back on all of the work and all of the decisions that I've made and be like, yep, that was the right call. I put my head down and I grinded when I needed to, and I was and now I can just sit back and I can relax.
I think that's definitely compounded by the fact that, and I just spoke to someone about this, when you are a creator and you cross that threshold of 100,000 and you get the check mark and you've got like a nice profile picture and you've got like the brand, it almost feels like, okay, this is serious now. It's no longer just a hobby. It's no longer something that I can just kind of like screw around with, because it essentially is a career sitting in front of you and it's just waiting to be taken. And I would feel so badly if I didn't do anything with that, which is good. I think that that's not a bad thing, but it definitely, like for me, and sounds like for you too, it creates like a certain amount of pressure. Like, I gotta make this work because I'll be such a fool if I didn't.
Nail on the head right there. I think that personally, I like having that stress. I like being work for long stretches of time on something that I believe in, because everything that I do is something that I believe in. I try my best to be genuine, albeit in a different way that like your channel is genuine. But if I have an idea, I want to do it justice, you know? So like that stress kind of propels me to accomplish the vision, and then I can just like keep on reaching new heights. I kind of just view it as like I'm training a muscle, and I can like if I just go work under that stress for X amount of time, for X amount of reps, then I'm going to be stronger, and then I'll be able to just like keep on progressing and like reaching new goals.
I know what you mean, but let me ask you this. I'll play devil's advocate. Do you feel as though by doing the 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day model, get the reps in, that you sometimes kind of bash your head against the wall and more work isn't necessarily better? Or do you feel like those days are very well spent and it's necessary to do that amount of work?
I don't think it's necessary per se, but I think that it is, it's fulfilling. I never view the work as work just because I love it so much. So
Right.
like, I mean, I could spend 3 hours on a 2-second clip in Premiere, just editing it to perfection. And like, I just enjoy it so much that I don't really see it as wasted time. But other people don't really not everyone thinks that way, you know?
Well, I just asked that because I know that a lot of people have this mentality that the only way to succeed is to just work like crazy, and the more hours, the better. And I'm not saying that that is right or wrong. Like, obviously for you, that works very well, and that is how it should be done. But for a lot of other people, they burn out doing that, or they just kind of waste the day because 12 hours, it's like, I can't imagine working for 12 hours. And I've heard like a lot of people, like Lex Friedman and Dan Coe, they're like big educational creators, I guess you could say, like they're in that niche. And they talk about how when they've structured their day, like 4 hours of deep work is like all they can really muster. And then they need a break. They need to go work out. They need to do something else. When you identify your niche, like you with building or me with talking, it's important to recognize what your required input is to make that work. Because for some people, it doesn't work to work for 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. But for others, it does. But I think a lot of people, this is my point I'm trying to make, is a lot of people just think it's a one-size-fits-all approach. And the only way to success is to do the maximum. When that's just, I just think that's kind of self-destructive. Like for me, that would be self-destructive, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you say some of your hardest moments have been as a creator?
When I decided that, like, okay, this is actually something that I'm going to do, you know? So when it gets to a point where I can't ignore, like, what it can become, even when all of the statistics are in front of you, it's not always, like, it's not an easy thing to do. That's something that I also wanted to ask you. What has been or is currently your biggest difficulty with YouTube?
I would say the biggest difficulty that could apply to most people is just when you have made something that you think was going to do well and it didn't at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I should have expected this, but my style with the channel for the past 4 or 5 months probably is the talking videos, these 4 to 6 minute stories. And that's what people come to expect. So when I started doing these podcast episodes, I initially uploaded them to YouTube. So all the viewers went from being accustomed to expecting those 4 to 6 minute videos to suddenly these daily 30-minute, like very long form videos of conversations from viewers. Like they don't necessarily know who the viewers are. And in retrospect, that was probably pretty jarring to go from that to long form. And I didn't get a lot of comments that were negative, but I got a couple like, I don't really know if I like this idea. Like maybe you should just go back to the talking videos. And like, that's fair enough. But I very much noticed that the videos themselves just simply got way less views, like considerably less views, maybe 50% of what I would normally expect from a talking video. And so for like a good day or two, I was like, dude, did I like accidentally screw this up? Like, did I make something that people don't like? And I was kind of unsure of myself. And this was like literally a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. But then I decided, you know what, maybe Spotify is better for podcasting. And let's go back to the talking videos. I'm still going to periodically upload podcasts to the main channel, like namely this one, obviously, like a big collab. But I just had to like reframe what I was going to do. And I had to recognize that maybe the idea that I had initially wasn't what the viewers wanted. Maybe it was too unexpected. And you know, I've been fine. I'm not like, the channel's not like dying or anything, but I just was like, dude, that was like the first moment of doing something that very much did not live up to the expectations that I had in my mind. And I had to deal with that. And it was kind of like a rude awakening, but it was a good awakening. I'm glad that I realized that and wasn't just like coasting forever, because I think if you coast forever, then you don't get that moment of like, it wasn't necessarily like a failure, but it was like, you need to reconsider your strategy because this is not going to work.
I've definitely been in that scenario before as well. I think in regards to your situation, it was a jump without a bridge. You went from just like the talking Minecraft cinematic to something very, very different. But I think that like there's still a way to like merge it, just like kind of how we're doing right here, where like it's still aligned with your style of content, where it's like, or like what people initially followed you for. A lot of the audience can just like be shell-shocked by certain transitions like that.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a way to make it work for Spotify and make it work for YouTube. This kind of got me a little nervous about this interview when I was like listening to a lot of your past ones. A lot of times you're very, I don't know, not anti-editing, but like a lot of the stereotypical like Minecraft hardcore editing is like very fast and stuff, and I edit a lot.
Yeah.
And my stuff is very fast, so like I wanted to get your take on like what does my editing fall into that category for you? And don't worry, I'd rather you just like be honest if it does, because you're not gonna hurt my feelings.
Well, no, I know what you mean. I mean, I think of that kind of editing, and this is no shade, but more like what Wadzi does. Because I feel like Wadzi is like the OG ultra successful hardcore YouTuber. Or maybe even SB737. And like, they're very good at what they do. But they're like, people are kidding themselves if they're not trying to appeal to like that certain demographic that likes that kind of editing. And it works. And so I don't have any problem with it. When I say like I'm anti-editing, I'm more like, just for me and what I would like to consume, it just kind of gives me a headache. I don't think that you fall into that camp so much, because the editing that they do is more like comedic timing. And I feel like yours is more just like, let's keep the editing quick because we want to get through all these different, for example, AI landscapes. There's like 6 or 7 that you made, right? So you got to keep the video quick.
There's 5, yeah.
Or 5, yeah. So, you know, it is what it is. But that's not to say that I still like that video. I watched the whole thing and it was great. But well, and also, just from a creator perspective, I don't like the hardcore editing because I just know that would be exhausting to do. You know, like, I cannot imagine the amount of work that those guys put into their videos. And it goes to show why they can only upload like once a month, because, you know, you can't.
Most of them don't. They just have editors.
I guess so. I mean, well, okay, if you're like Wadzi and you're building a netherite beacon, that's going to take you a long time. But, you know, for the rest of them, like, come on, dude. It's just not for me. But, you know, like I said, they know what they're doing. They've got a business that's working, and you can't fault them for that. And let me ask you this. There might be some thoughts here. I really have been going back and forth on this idea of whether the ultimate medium of my content should be Minecraft, or whether it should just be like me sitting in front of a desk with a camera, like a lot of other creators. Like Hamza is a good example. He just talks into a webcam in his bedroom. Or Asmongold, he's in his attic, you know? And like, that's a raw, authentic medium, and so people really like it. And I wonder if Minecraft limits that in a way, because I have to feel like, oh man, I gotta get all the cinematic shots, and then the thumbnail's gotta be relevant. When, for those guys, Hamza, it's just a screenshot of his face from the video. Or, I mean, Asmongold has like pretty high quality thumbnails, but like, it's still ultimately, when he does just a solo talking video, like he's just giving his thoughts about Diablo 4 or something, it's just like a still, and there's no editing. He doesn't even, I don't even think he edits out the stopping and starting of the camera. Like, you can see him hitting the start button, and it's just like super authentic. And I crave that. I think I do. But I wonder if you have any thoughts on that, of like whether that would be wise, if that would elevate the connection, or if Minecraft should ultimately be the way that I communicate these messages.
I'm biased, but I think that it's a risky move to look at creators who do that and try to emulate them in like a full capacity, because like, I'm not familiar with all the people that you just said, but like how did they start is my question.
Yeah, so Hamza is a self-improvement YouTuber, and then Asmongold is a gaming streamer on Twitch. And both of them have been doing, I mean, Asmongold's been doing this for a long time, probably 2012 maybe. And both of them have been on camera the whole time.
Personally, I think that Minecraft gives you a lot more opportunity and a lot more ability to expand to different types of things. I think that like sitting down at a desk, it's going to be pretty shocking to your audience unless you start completely from scratch. B, I think that Minecraft reaches a much wider audience, because like, Minecraft is one of the biggest things on YouTube, has been for years. Distinguishing yourself as like a fresh creator that's doing something different, which I think is something that you're already doing, is going to benefit you more in the long run. And then you can have the mobility to go into like some of that more raw stuff. But I think that like the opportunity for visual storytelling is like so high in Minecraft, and it's something so familiar to the audience that you could just be acting out a skit, and it almost doesn't feel like Minecraft if you do it correctly, because Minecraft is so familiar that it doesn't necessarily have to be a Let's Play. It's like creating an animation storytelling channel, but you don't have to animate. You just you have Minecraft there to do it for you.
Yeah, I just have like a couple reservations about continuing the way I've been doing, and one of them is obviously as any gaming creator, and not that I think Minecraft is going anywhere, but when you make your content very much tied to a game, you are tying your popularity to that game. And, you know, God forbid the game goes under, your channel is going under, you know? And I feel like there's a certain level of flexibility that is given when people are coming to your content purely for you, and they're not coming just because, in our case, we're Minecraft YouTubers, you know?
Yeah, I think that distinction comes like from what you're doing, because like what you're doing, you're not making a Let's Play. I don't I try to not just make Minecraft building videos. I try to like really turn it into more like a TV show, honestly, something that a lot of people on YouTube don't really do, because like the hardcore YouTubers, if Minecraft goes under, they're done. Being able to learn those skills in a familiar space and have a much larger sample pool to learn from, I think is more beneficial going forward, because you figure out how YouTube works a lot more with a wider audience. So it's like, even if Minecraft ever did go down, I don't think that it's going to go anywhere personally, but I know that if I wanted to start another channel from scratch, I can I have the skills to do that, because you can do pretty much anything with Minecraft. You can learn how to animate, you can learn how to edit, and it's a good gateway to a lot of those other skills that you can take on going forward. It's good to think about that stuff, but it's harmful to dwell on it too much. I think that biggest thing is just like finding something like a broad sphere like Minecraft, because you can do a million different things with Minecraft. I think finding that broad sphere and adapting it to what you want to do is more important than just like being like, okay, it's black and white, when there's like a lot of gray area. Figuring out how to adapt something and turn it into something that you want it to be encourages a lot more critical thinking than just like going on and starting from zero.
Right.
In my opinion, I think that like there are ways to make it work. I don't know how you would do it, but there are ways to do it. Like you can swing pretty much anything.
Yeah.
It just comes down to figuring out the process and trial and error. This might be a thumbnail right here.
Honestly, yeah. That is money, dude.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Thank you so much for coming. That was a good 2 hours.
Yeah, sorry if I talked your ear off on that.
No, dude, that's what I need,
like,
honestly.
For sure, man. All right. Well, I'll log off. Good talking to you.
All right, man. I'll see you.